Hello, X2. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm gonna make some coffee. I'll be right back. Hello. Well, guess what? Right on time, huh? Hey, Kalibalik. Sorry, Bork doesn't support yet animated images, but it will probably at some point. But it will probably at some point. Okay. So, as you can see here, in these test cases, this is the syntax kind of that they decided to go with. So, an H1 title that is marked as a block with an ID becomes a section, although I need to change this name. I kept calling these things sections. Originally, I even had like a section, like you would do, I don't know, like something md.section, I believe. But I can't, because in Zine, sections are like website sections. So either there's no solution. Like, I just can't call them sections, because the problem is that, you could say, yeah, one is a site or section, the other one is a document section. But what are you doing to Markdown? Oh, so Bamboo Chacha, I am extending Markdown and making it a proper markup format for describing things that aren't just like readmes, but also more serious stuff. If you read on the internet, whenever people get more serious about doing markup with Markdown, and I think the best example of this is when people try to make websites, books, not websites, books. When somebody tries to make a book, generally speaking, Markdown is a subpar tool for that job, because you want to be kind of precise with how you want things to look in a book. Books also tend to have, like informative boxes and elements that are hard to express in Markdown, or like straight up not possible. So I'm extending the way the Markdown works by basically having a way for it to interact with Scripty. Scripty is my scripting language that I already use for Super HTML, my templates. It's the same exact language. It just you manipulate different objects with it in a Markdown context. But the idea is this. The Markdown syntax for links now becomes more multi-purpose. If you put in parentheses something that isn't a link, then, or rather, to be more precise, if you put between parentheses something that starts with a $sign, then now this element has superpowers. So, for example, this is how you define an image in Super Markdown. It's the usual, it's the link syntax, right? But what it ends up being, if you put a $sign script in parentheses, is decided by what is the actual object here. So here we say, no, this is an image. Now, this seems useless because you already have syntax for images, right? It's the bang square brackets. Yeah. But what if you want to put a video? You can't put videos in Markdown, or rather, you can if you embed the HTML video element. Then sure, you can have video elements in Markdown. But that's kind of like, you kind of lost. The moment that you're inlining HTML in Markdown, you lost the game. So I haven't coded it yet, but I will have a $video element. And the idea is that these elements are not even, while there's obviously some overlap with what HTML supports, this is not a more complicated way of doing HTML inside of Markdown, because the idea is that these things should have semantic meaning past HTML, so that if you're rendering to another format that isn't HTML, you should still be able to know what's going on. Plus another concept, the concept of a block, which is a little bit more nuanced, and I'm not gonna explain it now. But this thing is probably the killer feature of Super Markdown. Super MD. You know what? I'm also thinking that maybe I should rename Ziggy to Super JSON. Anyway. So what are we doing now? Now the goal is this. Let's progress a little bit more with chip viewers, huh? You're a chip viewer, my friend. These accounts are really old. I bet you that these are all like hacked accounts. This account was created in 2015. I bet you that just somebody stole that guy's account. Oh well. So where should we start? I like having block and image, and I don't think I want to add a third element for now. We're missing rendering, I believe, because we can build an AST, but then we don't have anything to render. Make a Zig dialect that uses scripty for macros and call it Super Zig. I mean, Zig already has comp time. I don't think it needs the scripty treatment. Also, you know, the thing is, you can make something super if you have nice simplified way of integrating with the language, right? So HTML, it's easy to integrate with it because HTML has attributes. It's an AST in on itself. Markdown, a little bit more complicated, but still you have this link thing that you can hijack. I don't even know what is the Zig language construct that you would want to hijack. Super. Yeah. So I think that the super concept is best suited for you know, markup languages, data languages, maybe. Okay, so maybe we should add a rendering function. I mean, we had one, we just never ported it to the new code base. By the way, the code is also pretty nice. Basically, we build a CMark AST, we iterate the top level elements, and the top level elements are all going to be blocks. So it's going to be a document, a block quote. You know what? It's actually kind of nice that Markdown is fairly flat. It's like it's a list of blocks, and then inside a block you can have inline elements, which can also nest into one another. So we just loop over the top level blocks, we analyze them. Here is the block heading stuff. It's a little bit complicated. I'm not gonna explain that now. I think that like I can explain it. It's not a secret. That's also what I was playing with yesterday. I just think that it's just better to show it working at this point. And then we do some more analysis. We don't analyze a ton, to be honest, yet. There's still some code paths that need to be wired in, but it's a start. It's a start. So I guess the next question is, can we give this freaking AST way of rendering itself? Now, I'm now hijacking format as a like debug thing. Maybe I shouldn't. But you know what? Whatever. I think it's fine. Maybe we can call it render. To be honest, yeah, let's call it render. And the signature is gonna be actually kind of, well, not exactly close, but not that different either. So we have the AST, we have the writer, which is an any type. We also need some rendering options, I think. But you know what? We can think of those if they are once they come up. Okay. So now we have to worry about rendering. I can take the previous code basically and copy it one-to-one, I think. Not in here. Oh, actually, it's in this tab. There you go. I think this was the code. Okay, let's take a look at how it is now. So some options. Start an iterator. Yeah. We need an allocator. In allocator, the writer has already been given to us. We keep looping. We get the node, and then we do either the thing where we exit or okay. So let's change this thing. It's driving me nuts. So this if becomes a switch. First, we start with the enter case, not the exit case. Like I structured this in such a weird way, man. Oh, now I get it. What it was. No, I actually don't even freaking get it at all. So this also has to come with me, I think. Yeah. I'm not doing good surgery. I'm definitely not doing good surgery. Let's see. Enter. Switch with a bunch of cases. What is this else all about? I think that this else is alien. Because no, this else is an else for okay, for this switch. Okay, so this is all correct then. Wait until here. Then is this guy here not correct? There you go. You can even get rid of one level. Oh, come on. So get rid of this. Get rid of this, right? No, it's not that one. This one. Why are you busting my butt so much? Wait, this switch. Oh, I see the problem. I have this like flying Continue, which I don't think we need. So now I can do this. Now I can do this. And now the switch in lines more deeply, which I also want to do up here. There you go. We reclaim some indentation levels this way. Okay, so let's look at the code more in general. So we enter no document, we do nothing. Yeah, fine. We enter a block quote, we print a block quote. We enter a node list. I guess we print S based on list type. Fine. Node item li. Node HTML block. This just prints the HTML literally. Yeah, this basically should become an unreachable. Custom block, we don't know what that is, so we do nothing. Node paragraph, heading, just a heading. Thematic break is an HR. Footnote definition, we don't fucking know, so it's a panic to do. HTML inline, just print the HTML inline. Custom inline, panic on custom inline. Node text, prints the text. Soft break becomes a space. Line break becomes 2 BRs. You know what? Maybe this modern render should be like HTML. Actually, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure this code really belongs here. Like, do we actually do this like this? Should it be Zine that decides how this stuff renders? Maybe. In any case, thematic break. You know what? I'm sure that at some point we'll probably want to move this to Zine, but it can stay here for now. That's fine. Custom line. We're saying no text, software rate, blah blah blah. Code calls HTML safe, which we don't have, so we probably need to move that over also. Okay. Emphasis strong. Link. Image. We have our figure. We have our weird shit here. Because we previously we had to hard code all this stuff because like an image had to be shown in a certain way. So that worked for me. So yeah, this sucks. Code block. Look at the fence. Make pre-code. We should put a class here that says which. Oh no, we do. Okay. Oh, this is something like. No fence means pre-code, no tag at all. Okay. Lang name gets put as a class. And then we call highlight code. Oh man, this stuff totally needs to be inside of Zine. There's already 2 dependencies into Zine, which don't really belong in here. And we're going to add more. But. Yeah. Okay. Match around function. Delete. Where do we put this? Hey, if only I had a file that was some kind of like markdown renderer of some kind thing. Although I do think that we need a new file. You know what? I'll put this in a new file. because I think this should probably go into like renderers, something like this. And then there's html.zig, and this has this. Oh, the write failed. And how do I access my old fucking command? Dude, please. I want to accept this, but I also want to modify it. I fucking hate this thing from Helix. Oh, it worked. Wait, what? Why is left arrow the command that moves my cursor all the way to the right? Man, God only knows. God only knows. Okay, so this is the HTML renderer, basically. You know what? There's not going to be that many allocators flying around, so probably afford std.mem. Here is a version of Helix. I don't know. I just wanted to. I wanted to rerun a previous command that failed. So the command failed, so it wasn't in my history. Like, it was the last command that I sent, and then the only way to be able to. So I didn't just want to send it. I wanted to edit first, but to edit it, I had to do left arrow. So like I do colon W, that showed my failed command. And then left arrow is what would allow me to edit it by moving the cursor all the way to the right. So weird. In any case, okay, so that means that with AST, we're kind of good for now. Oh, you know what? Also, here's another thing that we want to solve. Now I pass tests almost. I fail because I leak memory. We also want to stop leaking memory. So that's another thing on our to-do list. You know what? Maybe we can do that now before continuing this integration work. So how do we stop leaking memory? Let's see. The AST itself uses the allocator that you pass in for everything, except fucking CMark. Because fucking CMark... Actually, GPA should be first argument. Fucking CMark is a C library. And, you know, yeah, it likes to use its own allocator, unless you call CMark parser new with mem. CMark parser new with mem accepts a tiny struct where you can define your own allocator. So here's what I'll do. I'll work off of the assumption that this GPA is not just a GPA, but an arena. Because I don't think there is a point in making this guy work any differently than with an arena. I think managing individual allocation is just stupid, so no. And then, yeah, we need basically to make our own itty bitty tiny thingy to allocate using our arena. And then after that, we can actually throw it away. So this can even be like a local value, although that might make things no, because we pass it down by value, so it should be fine. Let's try. So we pass it with mem. And then we want to create one that has calloc, and it's a function, realloc, and it's a function. I should do dot. Okay, so how does this stuff work? Calloc, calloc. So it's a function pointer. Function takes in two usizes, returns a pointer to any opaque. I feel like that this signature has been translated in maybe not exactly the optimal way. So let's take a look at the original header file. There you go. CMark mem, calloc, realloc. So, oh, I think I get it. So free frees a pointer. Realloc says this pointer, but now this size. Calloc is, I guess, this many items with this size, or vice versa. I guess it doesn't matter which is which. Although it does matter, maybe for alignment reasons. That's the only reason why they have to pass it down as to separate. Thing is, maybe also overflows, but what a sweet fucking signature, man. Also, they don't even tell you which is the size, which is the number. It's just size T all the way down, of course. Oh, but an arena allocator uses system calloc to allocate large slabs of memory. Memory in these slabs is not used at all. So in theory, we could say, yeah, use your own arena allocator. Wow. Wow. That would probably prove less painful than ham fist our own allocator interface into this interface. Because the problem is that I think our allocator interface tends to expect us to know the number of things, although when freeing mostly, but probably also when reallocating. So that one is important. Okay, you know what? Let's go with their own implementation for everything. And maybe we don't just return a node, but we return a like CMark AST. So const CMark AST. Root is a node. And then resets the arena allocator. It's completely void. So this kind of gives you a handle. Yeah, this is just an interface for sure. So like this is a global basically. They have a global that contains the allocator itself. There you go. So this is the global. They have one global arena allocator. That does not seem a good idea. Man, why do they have to be this weird? Fucking see every single time. Okay, you know what? Here's what. Here's what. We leak for now. Hey, Neuroside. Hello. Neuroside, by the way, I'm getting to a point with Zine that is so good. After this Markdown stuff is going to be done, but also apologies. There's also Super MD now. But once this is done, I would genuinely ask you if you want to consider trying writing down some docs for flow control. Like see if you can make it work with Zine in a nice way. You don't have to like blaze a new path for everybody. I'll show you. I'll do it first for Scripty. But I think that once you see what I pull off with Scripty, you might enjoy also adopting not either the same technique or something similar for flow control. And ideally, this should be like probably one of the best ways for generating, documentation websites for Zig projects that aren't Zig libraries. If it's a Zig library, you can use Autodoc, right? But Autodoc makes no sense for stuff like flow control. Yeah. I guess my point is, you can we're getting to a point where you can create such sweet documentation with this stuff because all the tools are getting there. There's still some tiny pieces missing, but like most of what it's missing is like just maybe a built-in here and there that can be added on the fly. So should be a nice experience. Okay, so the idea is this: we just leak the Markdown AST because we don't care for now. But for the memory that gets tracked by Zig, instead we do the correct thing, which is which is what actually, which is what, because we can free, so we can free our errors, we can free our sections, but we still have heap allocated. We still have heap allocated directives. And those will be caught. And if you do an arena, then this is going to work out. But the consuate is a slice. But why isn't it a pointer? Is it passing the provided slice down as a copy in stack? No. What makes you say that it is not a pointer? Where do you see that consuate is not a pointer? Like, is this a comment based on my code or just a general point? Because there is no star. Okay. In Zig, the star tends to be seen when the pointer is just a naked pointer, but a slice is a pointer and also a length. So the syntax is slightly different, but it is a typology, a type of pointer. And so, no, it doesn't copy. A slice doesn't manage memory. A slice is just a view into a buffer that is managed separately. You can manage the buffer manually using an allocator, and then you can you can call alloc to allocate 10 elements in a buffer, and then you can call realloc to shrink or lengthen buffer. You can also use manage data structures, like you can use std.ArrayList, an array list of, let's say, an array list of bytes. An array list will basically do what I just described for you. So you keep calling append on it, and the thing will call realloc as needed. So an array list is it's a grovable buffer, basically. And an array list contains, well, it has a bunch of like stuff that gets managed for you, but it contains items, and items is a slice. You see it here written as an uppercase slice because there's a bunch of metaprogramming going on based on whether your type, the generic type that you pass in, has specific needs with regards to alignment or not. But items is at its core a slice. I've heard it called a fat pointer. Yes, that's also one way of describing it. Okay, let's try to do it for real then. So let's say GPA dot free errors. Then a dot sections dot the init. So errors gets freed through the allocator directly because it's a basic type, it's a slice. But sections, it's one of those like structures, data structures that manage memory, so it has its own init because we don't know precisely how the implementation works. It's not like it's hidden from us. We can peek into it, but generally speaking, like you want the thing to manage its own memory, and so you just pass down the allocator, and the thing does its own thing. And I think finally we want to free, I guess, this other thing. You know what? I'm starting to think that we should still. I think we should still tell CMark to work off of an arena. The problem is that it's a global arena. Like, what the fuck, man? Why do they have not just? Why do they have a global arena, man? Why do they have a global arena? I don't know. Let's see. Freeze the memory allocated for a node and any children. Okay, so we want to call CMark node free. So well, I guess for us it can be like a.root.the-init. We don't pass down GPA because this is like stupid C malloc stuff. But we need to implement the init, so let's go do that. Okay, so this is it. The thing that remains, though, is freeing directives. Now that I think about it, this is kind of bad because okay, where am I? Main.c. No. So this is kind of bad because now that I think about it, so you can, let's see, CMark free function. Callback for freeing user data with a CMark mem context. So there's a function to set the free memory. Callback, I mean. Smart ether, blah, 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 blah. Unlink, replace, prepend, append, consolidate. Node own. Ensure the node and all its children own their own chunk memory. This, I'm not sure what it even supposed to do. Parser new with memory, parser free. Feeds a string of length to parser. Also, does this own give you anything back? No. Now it's the rendering function. Version string. It's one of the ones that do set this, set that. Set user data. Get user data. Set user data. Set user data free func. Per node. Oh, this sets it for each node. Oh man, this entire thing. What a mess. What a complete mess. Oh man. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Here is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that for now, this thing also has an arena. And this is what we use all the way through. So init creates a parser, first creates an arena implementation. So we pass down the arena. And then we do you save the arena implementation. How do you grab the state from it? Do you just reference it directly? Just dot state, yeah. And then there's promote. Save the state, and in the init you give me a locator. and then we don't do any of this. We just do a.arena.promote gpa.theinit. Goodbye. I may not be able to do this. I am able to do this. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the init on the AST should be what works. Maybe let's comment out the init here because it's kind of misleading right now. It doesn't really work. So in theory, we do defer ast.theinit, and we should stop failing our tests. Well, once it works. Okay, nice, works. We just spam. You know what? We can even do better. Let's reclaim one level of indentation. Boom. Perfect. Clean. Well, no, we are actually leaking. To do. Stop leaking the CMark AST. One day. Okay, so our tests now pass. They don't make too much noise. We build an AST. Now in Zine, we need to implement something that renders it to HTML. So that's still in here, just a different file. So that's the HTML render, and now we need to make this stuff work. Bet you the Super MD doesn't actually have Ether there. Have AST. We have some context, but we definitely don't have everything. But it is node.iter, I believe. No? Is it in AST? Oh yeah, I left it here. So ast.iter, node.iter, which should be it. I don't know. Well, either way. Okay, what's the next problem? HTML save, right. Yeah, where the fuck is HTML save? Is it in here? HTML save comes from highlight. We probably want to copy all of these. Okay, let's put some order in here. Zine should go up here, I think. We don't need Zine context, at least for now. We do need Zine highlight. Probably put this here. And stuff that derives from it. Ooh, but I like putting these things all together first. Okay. What's the next problem? Arena. Right. MD path. Okay, the problem is that our renderer expects... why do you want the MD path? To print an error. Unable to find highlighting queries for language, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, let's accept a path, I guess. Fuck, there's another thing that's called HTML. Rendered HTML. And that brings us to extensions. Right. Extensions. That means that we are only allowed to render here things that the extensions were already loaded for on the other side, which is at the end of the day kind of reasonable. Annoying, but kind of reasonable. So I think it's in AST, this stuff. Yeah, I left it here commented out. So how does this work? Extensions equals CMark list syntax extensions. which is a callback that now is under root, which we call super MD here. So this is extensions. The fuck do we put this? You know what? We really need a CMark AST. I have no clue what is the type of this thing. Well, I guess it's this bad boy. Okay, so now our CMark AST contains also a reference to its extensions. Wait, doesn't it even get colored? Oh man, this receiver grammar has kinks. Let's just say that this thing has kinks. Let us just say that there are kinks. Okay, we should have wired this correctly. So that means that on the other side, in our render, we should be able to do AST.extensions. Oh, the other thing is called AST. Right, so no, we can't call this AST. We need to call this Markdown MD. That's reasonable. This hasn't been updated, of course. There you go. Okay, what are the problems? Unused local variable, unused local constant. Right, also because these were constants that we used to initialize the parser, which is now hidden deep in the depths of ast.zig. Where's the CMark invocation thing? Yeah, this is where we were passing options. But to be honest, I don't think we want opt unsafe, for example. Nobrex, normalize, validate UTF-8, smart, GitHub freelang, literal HTML tag, liberal HTML tag, footnotes, strike through double tilde. For example, we want this. I don't support it now, but I want that. Table prefers style attributes. Safe unsafe. I don't know. Maybe there are some things that we would want from here. But whatever. Now it's safe. Okay, so this line has found its rightful home. Now the problem here is we should be rendering, but why are we not rendering? Because we now expect to have a writer from the outside being handed to us, which is correct. Okay, we should have a working renderer implementation now. Maybe not the best one, but good enough for it to kind of work at least. Okay, another thing. People were saying that we should prefer EM over I for emphasis, which I'm fine with. Another thing that we should do is look at how this overly complicated node image thing, where like we open... You know, I feel like a moron. Why did they structure this thing this way? Why did they have enter and then all the possible enter things and then exit and all the possible exit things? Why did I do it this way? Why did I not do node and then for each we have enter and exit so that you can see the two things one next to the other? What a mind-blowing idea, huh? Let's go do this work. It's gonna be pain, but man, it's such an obvious it's such an obvious improvement. Okay, so no document, we do nothing. Wait, could there be a way of doing this programmatically? What if? What if? Moment of pure insanity. Let's go. Okay, I'm centered on the arrow. I want to append switch over ev.dir, exit the parentheses, open the curly, move forward, delete the closing curly, go on a new line, dot enter equals, well, no, dot enter arrow, dot enter arrow, and that, and then, hey, Bifredo, hello. Yeah, we're having tons of fun. Then we open with curlies. I guess I can remove curlies if necessary afterwards. Although no, you know what? Maybe this is the point. This is where we stop. We don't try to do too much. Man, opening a new line here would be nice. Yeah, you know what? Things that were already curlies are curlies. Things that were single expressions are still single expressions. So we're kind of good now. Now we are kind of good, honestly. Now, I kind of wish there was a way for me to get to the next case easily. You would need semantic navigation. I kind of have that. It's just that it sucks. Like, I have some of that. Like, I could do... go to next. The problem is I don't have a good next. Sometimes these things are good. Sometimes they suck. Go to next parameter. Go to next. Comma now doesn't work. Comma works for some, but not for all of them. I guess I could go to a comma new line. That would work, but I don't think I can do comma new line. Well, no, that doesn't work either here. I should go to next C dot. You know what? Maybe we can... Okay, let we interrupt this. And then we do starting from this. This is Helix. Did I completely bark it? I don't think I did, right? This structure is reasonable as is. I think this structure is reasonable. We're probably wrong at the edge of this. Yeah, here we have a switch that opens. There's an enter case with all this code. And then it kind of needs to close, and then probably needs a dot exit. Also case. What did we fuck up? Expected curly found this. Doesn't think there's a matching parenthesis for it. Wait. Expected statement found, comma. Okay, wait. So this would match this guy. This would match this guy. This matches the if. This matches the outer if. This matches the enter. This matches the switch. Expected statement found, comma. Why do you expect that, my friend? List problems? No, not exactly. It's like I kind of tried too much. I flew too close to the sun. So I think that the edits that I did here are all good. Like I think we did admirably well up here. But I feel like this is the case that it's kind of borked. Like if I were to delete this, like cut it away for a moment, how would we be doing? Expected statement found else. Why do you say that though? Oh yeah, no, that's correct. Right. So I think this is correct. The problem is that we have this outer switch that we don't want anymore. And now that requires some surgery down here. So this is just a standalone switch now. Okay, so this is fine. This is still messy. If this is an else for the outer switch, what? Expected EOF. Come on, man. I'm so close, man. I fucking hate this. I am so close. Okay, for simplicity, for now, let's take this one off. What? I can't format. God damn it. Okay, but this should be it. So let's see the rest of HTML. How are we doing here? Enter. Exit. This closes the switch. Why does... Okay, this is insane. Why is this sending me down? Like, I do match this curly and it sends me down. How could you think... How could you think that? There you go. We found it. We found the magic combination. Okay. And yeah, our things look actually like reasonable. Okay, let's see if we can integrate code block now. Switch. Enter. Close the switch. Put a comma. I'm kind of confused. Are these .enter things? Did I add these .enter things by mistake? Oh, you know what? Here's what. Okay, so here's how we broke it. I think that's how it was, maybe? Yeah. Okay, this is now starting to make a lot more sense. There we go. Man, what a mess. Okay. Back on track. Now it's time to incorporate all the other cases. So this is block quote. Node list. Node item. Why didn't I do this the first time? Like I'm having trouble understanding what was in my brain when not realizing this was obviously the better way. What am I doing? A paragraph. Oh, they're not even in the same order. Jesus, man. Oh no, it's because custom block has nothing in it. Okay, I guess. Heading. Footnote definition. Just panic. Okay, setting aside, I borked the thing slightly, but it wasn't all that bad. I think that we saved time overall. What did I just cut? Emphasis. Okay, let's see. Yeah, block quote looks nice. Node list, reasonable. Li, reasonable. HTML block just prints the HTML. There's no exit from it. Well, entering does all the work. Exiting does nothing. Custom block, we don't do anything. Hey, Ninjatron. Did I get baited by SuperMD? What do you mean? We're doing SuperMD. I'm refactoring the renderer. I don't know if you've seen what other things I'm cooking with SuperMD, but like there's stuff happening. Unless SuperMD happens to be also something else, and I like stole the name inadvertently. So node heading, this looks good. Yeah, so let's see. Node heading, if heading a level, blah blah blah. Get data. Oh, this get data needs to. This doesn't exist anymore. We need to make it better. Just curious. Oh, okay. Then you're in for a treat. I promise. Thematic break, HR. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't know what to do with footnote definition. Okay, I'm just like checking that everything looks reasonable. Soft break, line break, node code, HTML save. Node strong. I did upgrade my site to use the asset system. No issues so far. Awesome. Did you put everything through assets? So like CSS files in your templates. Do you have post local assets also? Like, did you do $page.asset as well? Yeah, I shouldn't call them post local. I was thinking about my personal blog. It's like page local. That's, yeah. Node image, figure, data title, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So for example, this is my overly complicated way of rendering images right now. The reason why I had this, the reason why I was rendering images as figures is because I was leveraging these features in my own blog, and I needed this kind of machinery to be able to replicate my personal blog. That was like, being able to port my personal blog was one of the original goals, original milestones. So now what we can do is simplify this and have images render as normal EMG tags, and then add machinery in SuperMD to specify if you want something more. So this is gonna be good. I'm not touching this now, but this is gonna be good. CMark node code block. This is also as it was before. Haven't touched it. So this is also as it was before. This stuff was commented out, so I'm not touching it. Okay, so we are in business now, in theory, except for the get data thing. Right. This was my recent attempt at making this work. Now this is not like this anymore. I don't have page assets, so just site assets. I see. Okay, so this renderer will need to change a bunch. So here's one thing that this renderer doesn't. Well, this renderer doesn't handle directives yet at all. So how do we do this? I guess what we want to do now is give to page a callback to render an AST as HTML. I could refactor one page to use it, but it works well for me. Fair. Okay. How do we do this? Page. So we are not saving the AST right now because caching probably should be done in a different way. So there you go. Content makes a super AST, and then we return error to do. Well, you know what? It's time to return string I guess renderers could be called render.html. So we try render.html. So we need access to render. Okay, we need a few things. Okay, let's see. How do I index a list in Scripty? By the way, couldn't find a way to do that in the docs. I believe that right now you cannot. What is your use case? Why do you want to index a list? You can. So if you're looping over it and you need the index of the current element, you can do $loop.idx. And that will be the looping index. Does this get any easier over time, programming, I mean? It does. Yeah, the more you get used to it, the more you know what you need to do to get things done. It's not bad. I want to get just the latest blog post in the blog folder. Okay. I see. If you just want the latest blog post, that's okay, it's not great. But what you could do is, with current technology, is yeah, no, you know what? The current solution kind of sucks. I think that you need like a first or last built-in on arrays. Yeah. Yeah, if it's just the latest, I think the answer is that you need a first or last thing. Because right now you don't have that ability. That's a fair point. That's totally a built-in that we should add. Okay, so we have this HTML render. Now let's take a look at how we wire it into page. Content. First of all, do we have render? Oh, come on, ZLS. Oh, not HTML, of course. Come on, ZLS. What? Oh, I'm a moron. Okay. ZLS is actually saving me now. So GPA AST path. I don't know. And then we need the writer. In our case, we're not like pumping anything directly anywhere, but we need to buffer this into a string. So our writer will have to be an array list writer. Right, I mean, this thing returns void. Yep. Okay, so this should be it. So long story short, now content has become a function. Content previously was a field, now it's a function. Yeah. So this should be it. And then I guess now you just need a website to call that function. HTML is not marked pub. Ether is also not marked pub. Expected type node found AST. Fair. ast.md.root. Expected type node type found cint. Oh shit. So c.cmark underscore node underscore change with a dot. Perfect. So get data becomes get directive. No module name Zine available within module Zine. Uh-oh. Switch must handle all possibilities. Oh, this guy doesn't have an exit. Code block. I suspect that we didn't do anything on the other side for this guy. Some successes, some failures. Panic, to do, implement node type list. Okay, we are failing successfully. So what's happening is that some of my content has a type of Markdown node that we don't have the new AST analysis code yet for. So AST panic. There you go. This is the panic thing. So what is the other top level thing that we are experiencing? Let's take a look. Apparently it's list an item. I mean, at this point, you know what? We could have all of them in the correct order. So let's leave. Yeah, let's see. Okay, block quote. List an item. Code block. HTML block. Custom block. Paragraph heading. Thematic break footnote definition. I think that we don't need to do anything for thematic break. I don't think it contains anything useful, but I don't know. Okay, so this should, well, this actually leaves us with some unimplemented things like analyze list, analyze item, analyze code block. Analyze list. They're all kind of the same for now. Until we implement other stuff. What's the problem? Which must handle all possibilities. AST47. Oh, you're right, actually. So the problem is else unreachable because we don't expect to find non-block elements. We stay at the block elements level, so everything else should be not necessary. Analyze block quote. Okay, we will personalize these bad boys, but not now. And then analyze item. Also, I should do the debug stuff. Invalid option debug. I removed debug from here. Panic invalid enum value. Well, fuck. Invalid enum value. Invalid enum value. That is interesting. Inside i18n.md. So everything succeeded. This is mind blowing. Everything succeeded except this one guy, because this one dude, because it has something in it that none of the other documents have, which for us is not even a possible node type. So these are my node types. What does that mean? It means there's more? How does it work? Oh, I guess there's none. That's an error status. Oh no. Oh no. That's a problem. How? What? How did we get here? Okay, let's see if we now get a better error. No, it's still an invalid enum value. I don't know, man. I have all of them here. Like footnote reference, image link, strong emphasis, custom inline, HTML inline, code, line break, soft gray, text, footnote definition, thematic break, heading, paragraph, custom block, HTML block, code block, item, list, block quote, document. Okay, so it seems that we have all of them. Now we also have known. So what I'm thinking is that somehow that page is triggering UB. Like, what is so bad in this page? We do have inline HTML. Hmm. The inline HTML is the worst thing that we have in here. We do also have a new line above here. That's not good, but that wasn't it. This pesky page. Huh. Let's take a look at next sibling very briefly to see that we didn't mess up that logic. So we are in node. We grab the next node or else return null. And this failure happens in AST47. Hmm. Really weird. Also, I'm surprised that there is no HTML anywhere else in this website. I would expect other pages to return HTML is forbidden all over the place. Although, you know what? The reality is that we just don't check this. Yeah, we're not checking for errors right now. So we probably produce a bunch of errors. We're just not checking them. What's going on, man, with this? Let us... Yeah, let's add some printing, I guess, to next sibling. Not format optional with a specifier. Literal is also optional. Oh, interesting. Is there like some debug thing for nodes? God damn it, man. So finding invalid null value. So at 79, we have this style. Oh, yeah, it's the fucking table. That's what's going on. It's the table. We have a table node, and the table node is just not handled by us. The problem is that the enum is not exhaustive. The enum is not exhaustive, and what's happening is that we think it is. Alternatively, we should give to it CMark node type present. CMark node type mask, value mask. So here's what we can do. I guess we can check if the table extension has some info about it. Extern CMark node type, CMark node table, CMark node table row, CMark node table cell. That's what we need. Problem is, where are these fucking things defined, man? So table.h defines them as extern. So where are they coming from? Oh, it's table.c that defines those? I'm confused. Who's defining these things? So this is saying that these values are being created here, right? So these are like global values. This is saying, yes, I declare these three guys, but who sets their value? I feel like I'm going insane now. Maybe ext scanners? No, because they're probably mutable and they get assigned during initialization. That's what's going on. So I guess somewhere there's like some like init thing. Try opening, matches, can contain. Create table extension. There you go. So they get set at fucking runtime, man. They get set at fucking runtime, man. Okay. Okay. So we learned how this stuff works. That means that there's only one solution. So our good old enum has to be open. So that means that it's not like else is unreachable, but it's like else we don't care. To be fair, we could make certain other paths unreachable. Like we could say that these guys should be unreachable, but whatever. For now, we do this. So this means that we are not going to analyze a table. And that's fine, I guess. Let's see how we're doing now. Okay, so now we succeeded. But the rendering is going to be kind of borked. I can already promise you this. Actually, no, it won't be borked because we just don't act on this error. It will be mildly borked. Let's remove the logging. Don't need it anymore. Yeah. I think the only page that should be borked is the change log. Or maybe not even that. Let's see. Apparently not. Apparently we're still in business. Okay. Well, time to break everything now. So, how do we want to do this? Where should we start? Let me think. Okay, let's start by making... should we start with the complex stuff or with the easy stuff? I guess one could be to try and make image work. Which, by the way, we have regressed certain things, that's for sure. Maybe, okay, you know what? We start by wiring in the errors. We wire in the errors. We notice that, for example, this page will not render correctly anymore because there's an embedded video, and we embed this video through raw HTML. So we now will absolutely reject any inline HTML. And then we implement video, and we basically restore this functionality through our own non-HTML system. It's gonna seem like a weird dance because we're gonna basically break it and then do more work to obtain the same end result. But having the Markdown not contain HTML, it's a huge thing. It's truly a huge thing. So that could be one thing It could also allow us to restore the asset tracking functionality, which has now terribly regressed. That would be one. Another one would be to work on blocks. Yeah, I think we should work on blocks. What should be the goal of blocks, though? Okay, so I think this should be our goal, which it's not necessarily a design that I want to have for the official Zine website, but I think this showcases what we're trying to achieve nicely. So what we want to do is basically this. Oh, it's not display sticky? What's the sticky thing? Bro, just show me the fucking code. Position sticky. Okay, thank you. Okay, so inspect H2. So how would position sticky work like this now? So this is not working really well at all. I could do top 0, but they all collect up there, and you don't want that to happen. We could give them a background, I guess. So with a background, probably also. Oh no, is it 333? No, 111. Okay, so with a background, I mean, it kind of works. To be honest, this is not that bad. But in other situations, this can probably still be a problem because you might want, certain titles to just stop at some point, and you just can't pull that off. Yeah, no, you know what? This is still not a good example. We need to create a new page. It's like just a test page just to test this functionality in a dedicated like environment. Test.md. Fuck. Okay. Okay, so we have test. It has all the front page extra garbage next to it. It has, okay, so the way it was working is that it has these get started buttons. Nice. Let's say that we want to intertwine more of those things. Okay. We have now the basis for getting our test stuff to work. Oh, this is going to be good. So we can't call this section, let's call it content block, content section. And we could really call it just content section, content section. There's only going to be two. Yeah. And there's only the specified section of a super MD page. Markdown section. Content section. So the thing is, actually, in HTML, we don't even care about being given an AST. Do we use it at all? We use it for extensions. That's it. So to be fair, we could do extensions. And then we need to figure out what type of that thing is. Well, you know what? You give me the AST, but you also give me the starting node. There you go. Does this guy know when to stop? It uses the C iteration, so I guess it depends on their implementation. Do they know when to stop? And I'm so tempted to just make my own iterator, just so easier. No, that's not what I want. Creates an iterator starting a road. The current node and event type are undefined until next is called for the first time. The memory allocated for the iterator should be released using iter free when it is no longer needed. Yeah. So ideally, it should be done once it returns back to that node. Okay, hopefully that works as intended, as expected. Page. That means that this guy becomes AST and then ast.md.root. And here it becomes AST, and then we need to fetch the node first. So now we need to worry about arguments. Okay, let's do some error checking that we've been not doing at all. So content should be called without arguments. Then we should complain if there are arguments. Come on, show me an example where we care about arguments being given to us. There you go. AST args. Okay, expected one string argument. Block ID. Build the AST. Prepare a buffer. And then check if we have that node. Let's see. Just realize that the ANSI HTML render for errors doesn't convert greater than and lower than into references. So if there's an error message that contains a tag, it will be rendered by the browser. It's a small fix. Should I open a PR, send you a patch, or what? You should just commit the change. Commit the change to master branch. That's good. That's fine. Like it's a fix to a piece of code that you have already ownership of. So feel free to just push the change there. Like it seems like a no-brainer, right? Oh, you're right. You have access to Super HTML, not Zine. Good point. Then please send a PR then. Thank you. So, but no, wait a second. If you right, because you contributed the first one, but as a PR to Zine. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my brain is lost into this Markdown stuff. Let's grab the node. No sections. Yes, sections. Okay, sections get block ID. I think it should be get or null. Wait, is it get or null? Does get return an optional or does it error out? I think it get or put, get entry, get index, get. Returns an optional. Okay, perfect. Get or else. Oh, we want to FMT it. There you go. Okay, let's get compiling, and then let's watch this thing in action. Now this should be fine because we don't use it yet. Nobody's calling it, so yeah, we're basically back to where we were before. So now let's start using it. So let's say the now test doesn't care, but the content isn't enough. Now it wants content section, and it wants first, and then it's gonna put a button between each one of them. Second, third. Yeah, no IDs. Is there a page has rules for the H3? Okay, whatever. Let's remove the styling from everyone. Okay, so this guy now wants sections, and the answer is content section first doesn't exist. Nice. Let's make it happen. This is gonna be almost good. Unfortunately, even if the rendering is gonna be borked, I can already like tell you right away. But let's see. Let's get closer. Let's get just a little bit closer. So now we're going to test AMD, and let's make this thing happen. So test, or rather, section 1 is a block.id first. This is the content of section 1. Is that the website from the talk you gave on Jenkins video? Hello, IC3Q4. Yes. It's the static site generator that I'm working on, and I'm adding a new system that allows you to not only render the entire Markdown content in one place in your layout, but also to render it chunk by chunk, where a chunk is it's a section. Okay, now watch it work and be borked. Yeah. So we successfully almost made it. Here's the only problem. There's this itty bitty tiny little problem. The problem, the tiny problem is that Markdown is flat. So saying that we want to render this node doesn't pull in what we would consider to be under that node. Like we would consider these text to be under the heading, but it's really not. And so we only render the title element. We don't render things that we think should belong to that element. So we need to implement that. We need to implement code that one way or another is able to understand what belongs under something. So what I'm thinking is that we could probably pull this off with a custom iterator. I think that we don't even need to change the original AST. All we need is a custom iterator that knows that it needs to go to the next element until it either the document ends or it finds a heading of the same level or above as we are. Any Java lately? No. No Java. So how do we do this? So one option would be to mutate the AST. We could mutate the Markdown AST. And mutating the AST could yield us something. But I'm really thinking that there's more to gain by just looping. I guess it depends on what other semantics we want to give to things, because for now it's fine. Maybe in the future we might enjoy more mutating the AST, but now we don't need that. So I think we can avoid that. So let's make an iterator that understands this concept. So that means that we need to have two functions. One is HTML, I think. And the second one is HTML, but keep track of this concept or something. Nah. What we can say is, if the starting node has a heading, if the starting node has a heading, we write down that level and we keep looping. The problem is we really need our own custom iterator. Alternatively, we start the iterator from root. We skip until we find our node. And then we do the normal iteration loop, but we keep track of the heading rule. Yeah, maybe we can make this work with the normal iterator. Let's see. So let's see what we have here. Let's see what operations we have at our disposal here. Oh man, I'm clicking everything. What other operations can we do with the iterator? New, free, next, get node, get event type, get root reset. Resets the iterator so that the current node is current and the event type is event type. The new current node must be at the center of the root node or the root node itself. So we can reset the iterator on the node that we are being given, and then keep track of the level thing. Okay, let's add reset. So we were saying it wants current and event type. We need to make this a thing. CMark event type. Don't exit enter. Oh, I see. Well, I guess we cannot set it to done, but it's going to be fine. Okay, so this resets. So we started root. And then we reset. So we do it.reset. Current is start. Enter. Then heading level. Get heading level. Can you do heading level on every node? How does it work? Presents a heavy level of node or 0 if node is not a heading. Oh, this is delicious. Yes. Yes. So we grab the heading level. And then we say, whenever we grab a new node, we say if level is lower, well, if node dot heading level is lower than level, and we stop. That's not correct. That's unfortunately not correct. We need to save this down. Yeah, so we look at the current node. If it's a heading and the heading level is lower than the starting one, we stop. Oh, this is going to be so good. I honestly expected this to require way more work. We barked it. Almost correct. Equal is also an exit condition. Oh no, are we stopping now on ourselves? Fuck, now we're stopping on ourselves. I think the problem is that now we're stopping on ourselves. God damn it, man. Because we're entering. How can we start that from the next iteration? I guess it's a check that we do at the end. No. Like we literally look at pointers to check that the node is a different node. And now we have it. There you go. Except I think we kind of lost the heading. These are not these are just anchors. We're not starting because we're doing that next. That's kind of annoying. Like we're losing the heading part by resetting. Am I doing it wrong? I was expecting the reset to saying we're entering this node, and now we're not. Unless we set it to none. Oh, what if that was the move? What if we set it to none? What if that was the move? That is, in fact, even worse. That is, in fact, even worse. Okay, so I guess what we could do is find the previous element and then do next on it. I wonder why people make these designs for iterators that are for some reason so hostile to people that just want to have while loops over the iterator. Like, why is this API like this, man? Let me read this again. Resets the iterator so that the current node is current and the event type is event type. The new current node must be a descendant of the root node. Okay, I guess we kind of wanted to do like this. Like, you have to fuck this thing up completely, man, for this to work. Event is not marked pub. There you go. Now it works. Now we got the heading and the P. Can you show where it's a child from? Sounds like it. Not gonna lie. Then you could do whatever with extra steps. I could have went to the previous node, but I think there could be some weird corner cases. In any case, it works like this. So we have it. We have the ability to define sections in our HTML. Well, sorry, in our Markdown, and render them on demand. Which means that we can do fancy shit. Like, for example, let's do also fourth. And we want second and third to be like this. We're missing fourth. Yeah. Direction row, gap, 30 pixels. Not bad. And now it works. And if I want to change the order of things, I can even do that. Like, the layout has this power now. And now let's go in here, and we decide that section 4 has also a code block in it. Let's see how it fares now. Okay, this is suffering terribly from the centered text. Holy shit. So it works. It totally works. I think we have the beginnings of something insane. This is the beginnings of something absolutely insane. So yeah, for now I'm super happy. And maybe I should just call them content blocks. And that's it. That is super nice. Now let's add one ability. You can remember what brought this up? What brought this up is that I had to make websites like this also in the past. And if you try to replicate what I just did in another content site generator, you're going to go insane. Like, find Hugo. Hugo is a very popular static site generator written in Go. Very good in many ways. But let's say that you want to do this. It's like kind of impossible. It really is just kind of impossible. Or rather, no, sorry, I'll take this back. It is very possible. It just requires a lot of very ugly things that pollute your markdown with layouting concern. Here, we have solved it. We have solved it completely. Now, there's so many things that need to be implemented and polished and are missing. Like, we have implemented the happy path. We have not implemented any of the unhappy paths. So this is now going to be a matter of doing the work of polishing everything so that everything works. But that's the idea. Now, maybe I should take a couple of screenshots for Felix. Let's see. Can I open a tab? How do I open a tab here? Do I have a split here? So space window V vertical T transpose splits S horizontal. So this should explain basically what's going on. Okay, this is great. This is really great. So here's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get up, take a short break, make myself some more coffee, and then I'm gonna spend basically, I think it's gonna be the next hour because I have a meeting in 1 hour, and I'm just gonna spend the next hour polishing the stuff, like working on the unhappy paths, taking errors into account, and making everything work. The next thing that I will need to do after that is implement proper caching. Right now, we're parsing pages over and over, leaking memory all over the place. We need a centralized way of, well, not re-rendering the same thing forever and ever, pretty much. So yeah. Yay, coffee, yes. But this is, man, it's blowing my mind that I'm the first one to actually implement something like this. Like, the annoyance of not being able to split up the rendering of a Markdown file has been a scourge of my existence for so long, and it has, for certain, plagued so many other people. It's insane to think that nobody else has done this before. In any case. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I also noticed that there were some friends on YouTube chatting. Let's see. Rewards enabled on this channel. Oh yeah. Wow. Amazing. I'm planning to create a linear programming solver in Zig to use with Python. The idea is not only to develop the algorithms, but also to utilize parallel computing. Do you think Zig is suitable for this? Huh. Good question. Hmm. I guess as a general concept, yes, for sure. Depending on which kinds of parallel computing you might want to do, maybe not everything is super developed in Zig. Like, sure, you can spawn threads in Zig, sure. But like, if you want to do something that runs on the GPU, it might be a little bit too early for certain things. For certain others, maybe not. Like, you can obviously link to whatever C++ um, thing already exists and make that work for you. But like if you're looking for a pure, like a mind-blowingly good Zig native solution, we're not quite there yet. Okay, so window down. Huh, that's funny. How do we close window? Q. Close windows except current. Oh, so nice. So I can stay in the one that I like, and then I do Windows. Oh, nice. Now I'm curious. If I have a split and I go to definition, no definition found. God damn it. That's a shitty example. Okay, never mind. I'll do it another time. Okay, so let's implement some error reporting, I guess, then. Okay, let's think. Up until now, Scripty has communicated errors through an error string. The problem is, right now, Markdown. The problem is that right now Markdown is causing errors and we're not noticing. Why? Because we're not eagerly parsing the file. And if we were able to eagerly parse the file, then we would be able to complain in a much better way. So what I'm thinking is that actually the act of parsing shouldn't be this lazy. We should build the root page AST on load, but then we don't build it when navigating to other pages, at least for now. I think that's the move. And then when you try to call these functions on other pages, then you just get an error. That seems the way to go. Okay, so let's go to layout then. Let's go to layout. And at some point, we initialize our page. And we initialize the page by calling md.render. And right now, md.render is actually not rendering shit. It's calculating word count, Boolean, copying over some values. That's it. Right now, this function is pretty nerfed. Pretty nerfed. Okay, first thing that we need to reinstate is who keeps track of which images are being referenced in our Markdown and how. So what I'm thinking is that building the AST and collecting directives about images that should, yeah, when that happens, that should totally cause us to collect those things. So we probably want, do we want to have like a list of those assets that are mentioned? We might want to. Because we go and inspect each and every directive. Like we could run through the full AST again. Maybe that's the move. But it seems worth to write down which assets are mentioned. Now, you know what? Let's run through the AST again. So I guess we kind of do it here. Pass now when loading a page through scripty, assets should be referenced for real only by the layout process that builds the target page. Yeah. So let's say that we build the AST here. So SuperMD wants an allocator. Man, it's so unfortunate that ZLS doesn't want to cooperate here. Super MD, let's see. What do you want? Oh, locator and source. It's like, okay, nothing crazy there. Fine. So we build the AST, and then what we want to do is var current is ast.md.root while current.next. While current.next directive is n.get directive, or else continue switch directive kind, and then we want for image what do we want for image? Basically, for image, we care about its source, right? The problem is that now we are getting into the realm of designing these things more, because right now source is just a string, and we need this to be better. Now source has to be something more complicated than just a string. It has to be something where you can say, well, source is a remote URL, a page asset, a site asset, a build asset. So it means that we'll have to give it like also something more nuanced here. And since this is not just a source thing, we probably want to put it here, pub const source. So what is source? It's not a start, it's a union. So it can be a URL. It can be a page asset, site. We do page, site. We can say that it's an asset. So we're making these a little bit more general than just images. Although this will allow you to say that something is an image, and then you say, yeah, well, there you go. Now this image is a page. What is that supposed to mean? It might mean that we use the auto-generated social media images at that point. That might not be a bad idea, but we don't have support for that yet. No, this stuff needs to be called like asset source, maybe. No page. Just call it source. Yeah. Okay. So URL or an asset page site build. I guess we don't necessarily even need the extra nesting though. So this is now source. This also means that we need to complicate this function. We cannot use the auto-generated one. We need to make our own. Let's go do that. So let's say let's copy authors. Match around type. Okay, so this is source. This is going to be the new description. These fields represents a URL location where to find the image referenced by this directive. Also, here's another interesting thing. Source is going to be shared by a bunch of different things. So even though source shouldn't be like hyper generic, you know what? Match around type. We do want to put it in utils, I think. We just make this with a description like this. I mean, no, we don't need to do this. We can just do call. Sort. Here, directive source built in. The problem is that this needs to be more complicated. This needs to have self and D. Well, fuck. I guess that's fine. Self is any type. Yeah. Let's suppose we live in a binary world. Only one of these can exist. Zig in the crap language, which one will? I strongly doubt that's a premise that will apply to the real world. Rust has made it. It's successful, it works, people want to use it, and some of the people that use it are happy. But at the same time, there's also a lot of other people who are not really served well by Rust either. So you have people who have a programming style or a programming style that doesn't fit well in the Rust ecosystem, or who have like needs for lower level programming, that the kind of control that Rust makes it harder to achieve. And also sometimes also an ecosystem that doesn't necessarily care about what you care. Which, to be fair, the same argument applies to every language. Like every language can have an ecosystem that doesn't care about what you do care. So it's not necessarily to say that the ecosystem is wrong. It's just that it's a bad fit. And so there's a lot of people then who will totally prefer Zig over Rust because of that. And there's probably also space for like a third language potentially, or I don't know, but I would say the point is that it's ultimately kind of wrong to think as Zig and Rust as too much of direct competitors. There's obviously some competition between the languages, just like there's also competition between I don't know, Coca-Cola and McDonald's. They both compete for space in your stomach. But at the same time, like they genuinely do. Like soda and fast food, they do compete for a finite resource, space in your stomach. But yes, but the point is that it's different. It's different than the competition between Coke and Pepsi. Coke and Pepsi also compete for space in your stomach, but they are much more closer to one another. I think the point is that Zig and Rust compete against one another because sure, people have a limited amount of languages that they can learn, and projects have a limited amount of. Usually, there's like one language for a project or something, but the thing is that they ultimately really are different languages, and I would say that in this mix, Rust has, in my opinion, somewhat scatterbrained and not well-designed marketing. The marketing of Rust has been all over the place, and people today are convinced that Rust is a super low-level programming language, where Rust doesn't even want to be a super low-level programming language, but it is marketed as one. Like you will read in plenty of spaces, in plenty of places that Rust is a super low-level programming language, the ultimate low-level programming language. Well, it's not. Honestly, I feel like that the person who has the best take on comparing Zig and Rust is Mattclad. So Mattclad has on his blog a blog post about like Zig versus Rust that I feel like this is a pretty good take. So I would recommend this read. And then he also has a nice comment on lobsters. There was also this discussion here, and he replied to my post. And I think that his reply is interesting, where basically he says, I'm okay. So very quick recap. Blog post about how I have fun with Rust. And this person basically says, you know what? Let's throw away all the low-level programming concerns and, let's use this string type instead of this one. I imagine that string is like the boxed version of this type. Boxed and God knows, maybe reference counted. I don't know. But like this is easier to use than this guy. Use vect instead of I don't know, slice of t. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Pointer to array of t. God knows what. Use box. I know what box is. Box means heap allocation. Also arc, clone. Yeah, clone everything. Like fuck all the complicated stuff. Just use the thing that gets you to compiling. And my reply to this was, well, okay, if that's how you have fun with Rust, then you're just not having a lot of fun in the first place, because in my opinion, the whole point of using a low-level programming language is if you get to design what happens to the memory. Like if you get design control over things that you cannot control in higher level programming languages. And that's the whole point. And so I was saying that, I don't know, this doesn't seem particularly interesting. Like, this doesn't seem a good idea because this thing. Okay, you know what? I'll read my own comment, I guess. Let's see. I'm currently working on a static website generator written in Zig, and as part of that work, I'm working on my own templating language. It's very fun work, and a substantial part of that fun comes from finding harmony between high-level needs and low-level details. The templating language, like most similar languages, features a sub-language used to query page metadata that's scripty. The stuff that one normally puts in the front matter of a Markdown document. And I've gone through 3 rewrites initially aimed at evaluating going with generics versus using runtime polymorphism versus in-between solutions. But that in turn has made my high-level design evolve in a significantly better direction than what I had originally in mind. I'm saying this because there is a significant amount of design power and fun that you give up when you decide to blindly heap allocate values and or twist your program, how your program works, in order to avoid problems with the borrow checker. Low-level programming is exhilarating precisely because you get to define the memory layout of programs, when and how heap allocation happens, who holds the memory for a value versus who gets a pointer, and from that awareness, you can make design choices that otherwise you wouldn't even think about. So personally, I found this read kind of sad because from my perspective, the author is missing out on a lot of potential fun and informed design choices, and is suggesting a strategy that takes you even further away from what I consider the one reason why it's worth using a low-level programming language. I understand that one won't be able to incorporate all kinds of low-level details into their design process right away. I went through this myself. Before Zig, I pretty much only had written Python, JS, and Go. But I find it misguided to consider this stuff just a matter of optimization that should not be expected to have any influence on the high-level design. If the author can't make Rust click for them in that regard, I would suggest Zig or another programming language over giving up design power and using Rust like a verbose Python. And then McLeod's answer is, I think this is the key. Rust isn't a low-level programming language. I used to believe that, but now I think that's wrong, and that doesn't entirely capture what Rust is about in practice as well as in design. So I'll share a link to his comment so you can read it. Everybody can read it if they want to. But like arc.net L quote. What the fuck is this link, man? Oh, I think that's kind of on me because, right, I clicked here. Share quote. Oh, it's because I had selected text. Okay, now that doesn't happen anymore. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so now we want the directive source built-in. Now the directive source built-in works this way. We need to think about the signature. So the signature for our function is we want. Yeah, what do we want? Because I guess the next question for our design here is, how do you express these things? I guess what it wants is a source. No, so if it's a, I think that it works like this. If it's a URL, if it's a link, a string is fine. Otherwise, one of these guys. Now, you know what? I'm thinking that we need to have more than one source thing. I think that we need like source URL, source page, source site, source build, maybe. Almost. No. How do we want to type this? $image dot. I guess URL. Yeah, I think we want .url. And then we want $image dot page asset, image.asset. And this could be page asset. So this becomes image.png. And then there are image.site asset. So this would be like logo.png, like the site logo or whatever. And then there are image.build asset. I think that's what we want. We want URL and asset to be the easy ones to set. And then the other ones to be a little bit more verbose, but still accessible. Because in the context of a Markdown file, obviously page assets are kind of the default asset. Maybe we could even make it like an alias to page asset. I don't know. Yeah, this seems the way to go, to be honest. Which means that we kind of want to what? So we need to make 4 functions for each one. Everything that has a source field needs to have this battery of functions. Like source, URL built in. Okay, let's go implement all these functions. There's going to be, I think, a lot of copy paste, but I don't want to go in bonkers with metaprogramming. So some copy paste should be fine. Okay, URL built in. This is the one that wants a URL. So add argument, expected 1 string argument. Also, wait, did I copy this from something that says expected 1 or more string arguments? Oh, and then it has the check, yeah, different than 1. Perfect. So this one's one thing. Let's see. I don't like his answer particularly. I see where it comes from, but in my opinion, then that's then not the right choice on Rust. But use something else, because why would you choose Rust if you didn't care about memory types and know that you will have to use unsafe? I think the point that Matclad is making is not necessarily that you will have to use unsafe. For example, the person in the blog post, I believe, didn't have to use unsafe at all. What Matclad was saying, I think, is kind of like, okay, you have this like low-level library, you have this dependency, so a package that somebody else made, and you want to use it. If you're a super hardcore low-level programmer, for some definition of super hardcore low-level programmer, because in reality, in my opinion, you don't even need to be all that hardcore at all in the first place. But let's say that you're not somebody who is used to dealing with pesky C dependencies, right? Maybe I can take a look at the CMark header file, make a sense of what's going on, but maybe you can't. You haven't gone through the pain required to make sense of this stuff. Fine. So how do you access the CMark parser then? And one option is using Python. I'm confident there's Python Markdown parsers. And I'm also equally confident that probably a good chunk of them depend on CMark, on the CMark parser. has been designed with high extensibility in mind, as detailed in the extend Marco section. Why Marco? Both paragraph do not comply with common Mark specifications. This has prompted me to develop another one. Okay, you know what? Maybe this one implements everything in-house. Show me the source. No, why? What? Show me the website. Show me what you depend on, man. Show me your dependencies. Uh-oh. Project, dynamic, benchmark, dev. Nox file. What the fuck is a Nox file? Oh no. Well, let's take a look. Parser.py. We can probably take a look very quickly to see if this is implementing everything itself or not. Is subclass. Okay, I think this is implementing everything itself. So never mind. This is a pure Python implementation, but I'm confident out there are like Python CMark. There you go. CMark GFM. Python bindings for GitHub CMark. So yeah, so you want to use the CMark parser, you can do that from Python. And a ton of people use C libraries from Python. You want to do computer vision, that's OpenCV. Do you want to use OpenCV directly? Chances are you don't. And so what do? You use OpenCV through Python. So then the idea is, well, if you use those dependencies from Python, then it works. But also there's a big jump from the language that you're using and the language that the thing is implemented in. And there's a lot of like impedance mismatch between the two, because the way you do things in Python doesn't necessarily mesh well with how the low-level library wants to do things. So I think that Mattclad's argument is, well, now if you use Rust, you can have a language that protects you from the gnarliest parts of what's going on in those dependencies. But at the same time, it allows you to use them in a much more direct way than using them from Python. I think that's his argument. But I think that said, I think that the most interesting part after that is that then if you agree with that perspective, which I kind of do, like I'm not sure I'm sold 100% all the way, but I'm at the very least sold 80% of the way. Then if you agree on that point, then you also have to agree that Rust's marketing is kind of weird. And I think that this is kind of also funny, because that's the same problem that Go had. Go was originally marketed as a systems programming language. And a lot of people thought for quite a long time, for like years, they thought of Go not as a Java alternative, not as a C# alternative. They thought of Go as a new C. And that's that is, for most intents and purposes, not a great way of describing Go. So you can even find interviews from the creators. I don't know, maybe Rob Pike or, Rob Pike, Cox, one of those people, saying that they actually regret early days marketing of Go. Because they said that, yeah, we originally marketed this as a systems programming language, and that it turns out that it wasn't like a great idea of doing that. Well, I guess in their defense, it's always easier to say these things in hindsight. While you're doing the thing, it's not easy at all to get the marketing right. At all. It's hard as shit. but they do regret trying to do that. And I feel like that Rust is in some ways in a similar boat. Rust is definitely more low level than Go, so it's much easier to think of Rust as a low level programming language, as a systems programming language. But there are some caveats, some things to keep in mind. And then if you look at it from that lens, through that lens, then Zig is the more low-level programming language. In some ways, the better low-level programming language. Not the best programming language overall, but in the, in the low-level programming category of programming, Zig just does more things. And is there something on the screen near the switch arms? Near the switch arms. Switch. Here's the switch. Maybe I could have some artifact. I don't know. I don't see it on the preview. No? My green screen... unless you were seeing something here that I can't see in my... yeah, maybe you were seeing something very small that I can't really see from my preview. But yeah, I have a green screen. I don't exist inside of macOS desktop environment. So in conclusion, I feel like that Zig's marketing is 10 times more on point than all these other marketings, than the marketing of these other languages. Not necessarily, under every possible angle. I'm sure that there are like excellent things that all these languages have done that Zig hasn't done. But in terms of the core messaging, like how in tune is the core messaging with what actually your language is capable of doing and being the best at, I think we are by far the most on-point language out there. And frankly, this is probably a good chunk of the reason why Zig is kind of successful. Because what's on the tin is what you get in the can. Like what we say Zig is, that's what Zig is. There's no like, oh, but well, this was promised to me as this, and then now I'm not so sure anymore. Blazingly fast. Everything is blazingly fast, but no. Sometimes Rust takes a performance hit to get a better trade-off in other aspects, safety, to name one. And so it's not as blazingly fast as some of the marketing would make you think. Zig does care about performance, and pretty much almost nothing is between you and performance with your computer. There is something. The only thing between you and your computer is LLVM and the way LLVM does optimizations, but I mean, something has to be there. So that's something that you I guess you can tweak parameters, but like you can't get away completely from open source microcode. Yeah, we don't have that. You know what? If the Z project one day this goes all the way down to making our own CPU, then maybe. But I don't think so. So yeah. Okay, expected one string argument. We grab the value, we test it. if value, technically we should parse it as a URI. It would need to be a correct URI. So maybe let's leave it as to do parse validate URL with proper parser. Oh, you know what? Why do we leave it as a to do? We have one in the standard library. Let's just use that one. So let's see. Const std http. Then I don't know. I'm actually not even sure it's inside the http. URI? URL? Okay, I know that it's in there somewhere. Oh, wait. http.server and then inside server. No, that does not seem the case. Oh. std.uri with an uppercase U. Let's go. Parse error URI. Parses URI, there's an error. The return value will contain strings pointing into the original text. Each component that is provided will be non-null. So I think the problem is that we also need to assert that it has a scheme. Oh, this doesn't even need to be an error FMT, which is it's just a hard-coded thing. URLs must specify a scheme. Use other built-ins to reference assets. There we go. Otherwise, boom. This is great. This is truly great. So URL built in, then we want asset built in. I think it's the page. No extra validation. Validation will be done by somebody else later on. Site asset built in. By the way, renaming variables seems useless, but it's going to be nicer when you jump into code from one place to another, because it helps you understand which of these three functions you're in. Okay, so this should be fine. So we go into context. We have source. And so we don't do this. There you go. And now we can do, so this is not source anymore. This is URL. Then we have asset. Then we have page asset. No, site asset, sorry, and build asset. Okay, so defines this image as ooh. Okay, I think I'm gonna be available for like 5 minutes more, and then I have to go. Okay, sets the source location of this image as an external URL. The URL must. So, do you stream each day? Pretty much. Maybe not each, but close to. The URL must specify a schema. Well, the URL cannot be a relative path. Well, the URL must be an no, it's not URL. Use asset, site asset, or end. Use asset to refer to local assets. Yeah, I think this is nice. As I think they should say to an external URL. Set the source location of this page to a page asset. See also URL site asset and build asset. Oxford comma. Let's go. Sets the source location of this image to a page asset. There we go. Nice. Okay. Thank you all for hanging out. I think this is the end of my stream for today. We made a bunch of progress, and I think this is going to be really exciting. So I think that I'm going to do tonight a bunch of the remaining work to, define all these remaining things, polish all the error paths and everything else. And maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think that really starting next stream, we're going to start porting the Zig website. But if it's not the next stream, it's going to be the one after. Like we're pretty much there. Like we've been edging for a while now. So I love edge computing. In any case, thank you all for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Let me just quickly check if anybody is streaming Zig that I know of. I